How's it going, everybody? Welcome back once again to Talking Wolves. Hope you guys are keeping well and safe. And today we have got a match preview for the first time in a number of weeks. I think it's Liverpool since the last Premier League game Wolves played, and that seems like an absolute age ago. So we are finally back in action, and we're going to be taking on David Moyes' West Ham United at Molineux on Monday evening. As always, hope you guys are keeping well and safe. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know your thoughts ahead of the game in the comment section down below. And before we kick off, be sure to check out football prizes once again. This week it is a signed and framed Ruben Neves boot. So something a little bit different for you guys, so be sure to enter that prize draw using the link in the description down below. But obviously, plenty of news to get involved in for today's match preview. If you haven't already, lots of news updates have been going on over the last couple of weeks on the channel, including an interview with Expression Star Wolves correspondent Joe Edwards. But Nuno had his press conference in the last day or so, and just speaking about really giving fans an update of what's going on at the moment. It sounds like, as always seems to happen after international breaks, there's some small issues here and there. The main one being João Moutinho. He's sort of come back with an injury from Portugal. I don't think he played those last two games for Portugal during the international period. He started and I think played the majority of that first game. Didn't play either of Portugal's second two games. So he's come back with a slight knock, and Nuno has said he's obviously unsure whether Moutinho will be involved. So it sounds like, if I'm honest, I don't think he will be starting on Monday against West Ham. He's also said an unnamed player contracted, didn't contract COVID-19, but has to self-isolate due to being on a plane with somebody who had COVID-19. I don't think it'll be any of the players that played in the last week during international break, so it rules out a large number of players, but with the self-isolation period will be ending on Sunday, so the player will be available on Monday. But like I said, I don't know who said player is, unfortunately. But yeah, plenty of little injuries and issues for Nuno to consider. Daniel Podence, it looks like he's been back in full training over the last week or so, so fingers crossed he'll be available for selection. That'd be huge. Jimenez getting more and more involved in training, which is fantastic. I think this game is probably too soon, but fingers crossed we see him maybe before the end of the season. By maybe the end of this month would be phenomenal to see Jimenez back in training. But other than that, it looks like it should be a pretty full on Wolves team. Just having a look at obviously our fixtures coming up now after this West Ham game. There's a favourable run of fixtures, which I've pointed out in the last number of match reactions and match previews. But West Ham are having a great time, aren't they, at the moment in the Premier League? Probably one of the surprises of the season, and a team that under David Moyes, I don't think anybody expected them to be up there. Really, sat in 5th place in the league right now, 2 points behind Chelsea who are in the top 4 right now, and they're in a pretty decent position. Got 3 points on Liverpool as well, down in 7th. So they've got that little bit of a cushion at the moment. And on paper, I think a lot of Wolves fans are disappointed with our season, because you see the likes of Villa, who are ahead of us, the likes of West Ham are probably one of those teams where you look on paper and you think the quality of squads should be very, very similar. But David Moyes has got some of these West Ham players playing in a way that the West Ham fans haven't ever seen before. And obviously, adding the addition of the likes of Jesse Lingard, who's got that Premier League experience and hit a really fine run of form. And they're winning games, scored a good amount of goals as well, and really making it difficult for some teams as well. Souček being the big man in the middle, almost like a Fellaini type player that Moyes had when he was at Everton back in the day, and Souček's doing the business right now alongside Declan Rice as well, and adding the likes of Jesse Lingard, who just seems to be getting involved at the moment. But I still think there's areas of that team that Wolves should and could exploit, really, with the introduction, obviously, of reintroduction of possibly Daniel Podence. I think him and Neto, just with that direct pace and power, could really cause them some problems. But West Ham are quite versatile in the way they play. They've been playing with a back 5, been playing with a back 4, probably a little bit more structured than Wolves. Obviously, we didn't ever play a back 4 before this season, and I think long term that's possibly the way Nuno will want to go, but you'd expect to see us play with the five at the back once again this campaign. But still, you know, we're 9 points clear of the bottom three. You wouldn't expect us to get dragged into that bottom three. I know a number of people mentioned it after the Liverpool game, but I still think you're crazy to be suggesting that at this current stage, if I'm honest. And I think we're in an okay position, especially with those next 5 games coming up. If we can get 2 or 3 wins there, we're absolutely fine for sure, really. And fingers crossed, we can start seeing some players come back to full fitness. We see our strongest Wolves team towards the end of the season, and we get that little bit of momentum going in towards next season as well. But we have got our away fan perspective. We've got Anton from Irons United, very good friends of the channel. I've been doing content with them for a number of years now, and this is Anton's thoughts ahead of Wolves versus West Ham.
Hi guys, it's Anton from West Ham Irons United, and so far this season, West Ham are just performing beyond anyone else's expectations. Not just West Ham fans, but most people from the Premier League. But when you start to get into the nitty-gritty of why we're performing that well, you know, it all starts to add up. It's given a manager who has got a natural-born pedigree to be a really good coach, strict coach, footballing coach, and potentially, you know, wasn't given a fair time in some of his previous roles. And now he's come back to the club and he's absolutely, from top to bottom, putting in a structure and giving that structure to West Ham, and that's now finally coming on to the football park. And he's given the fans something to believe in. I genuinely believe this is not a one-off. And it's very hard not to get carried away. Of course it is, because we're not used to being in this position. But it's very hard not to get carried away. But I do believe in what he is doing, David Moyes, and building at West Ham. And so far this season, the expectations are up there. And that's all down to what David Moyes has done at West Ham. He has changed West Ham fans' opinion on where we can actually be or challenge. And he's escalated us and he's progressing West Ham. And the key factor, like I've mentioned, is to continue doing that season upon season. So let's hope we can continue that. Do I think we'll qualify for Europe this season? I mean, it all depends. I mean, listen, we're there or thereabouts. We're a hop, skip and a jump away for getting into the Champions League. And I feel like it's in our hands a little bit, because I do think we can turn up against teams if we need to. It's just when we... It's like it's in our hands because we turn up and sometimes are defensive against opposition. And when we're defensive, it invites the opposition onto us. And then we defend for a full game. And there's been several games throughout this season that we should have gone on to win because, you know, I can think of Fulham, for example, where we drew the game and we should have won that game. We should have turned up, came off the fantastic victory against Aston Villa, absolutely dominated Villa. And then we turned up to Fulham and sat back and defended. So it was really, really disappointing. West Ham's best players this season, really, it's a really collective team effort. There is absolutely, you know, there's no I in team, and this is a prime example of what is happening at West Ham. You can talk about the players that everyone knows. Thomas Souček, listen, you can't even remotely deny that guy is top-notch. West Ham have absolutely found a diamond there. His partner in crime, Coufal, who plays either wing-back or right-back, absolutely is just solid in that position. Like I mentioned to you, Souček, he's nearly at double figures for this season for scoring a goal for a defensive midfielder. Declan Rice, he is, of course, just phenomenal. He's everywhere all over the park. And if you don't watch England internationals, or if you do, you will see that week in and week out, when he plays for them, he is man of the match performances a lot of the time. So he's absolutely phenomenal. And then you've got the kind of unsung heroes, I call them, in Pablo Fornals, who was signed for West Ham as this trickster. And he's just got the strongest work rate. I think he covers so much ground more than other players in the team. And that's what David Moyes wants. He wants hard-working players who also have a bit of an ability. So there's a few players that definitely go under the radar. Defensively, West Ham are a bit more solid than we've been over the last 4 or 5 years. And that's something we've wanted to eradicate for a while. And we're starting to hopefully do that and shut up a little bit of shop. And of course, you're never going to get away from the threat of what the unpredictability of Antonio and what he can bring. And then I suppose that brings me on to the Wolves players that I fear. The Wolves players that I fear, of course, there are players like Neto, who's been performing really well, Moutinho as well. But then at the end of the day, Adama Traore is a player that every West Ham fan fears. And I don't know if it's just one of those players who likes to nip up and score a goal against West Ham. And I know maybe he's not been having his best season at Wolves. However, I do fear a player like him. And the predictions, it was a fantastic victory for West Ham last time out. Things have definitely changed. West Ham have gone on the up. Wolves have kind of gone a little bit further down the league, which was not what I expected. But West Ham need to bounce back, and I know Wolves want to bounce back as well. Do I think West Ham have got enough fight in them? I really genuinely do, and Moyes is going to want a reaction because it's just within a cusp of European football, and I think he's going to want to do it. I think it's going to be a tough game for both teams, and it could be a bit of a messy game, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to West Ham. So I know this is a Wolves podcast. However, I've got to go with my team. So anyway, thanks guys. Take it easy.
So big thanks to Anton. I'll make sure I leave a link to their channel in the description down below. But if you look at West Ham's recent games, they're sort of winning the games they should be winning. And, sprinkling a little bit of the games, with teams in and around them, they're getting points against. So the Arsenal game, they drew 3-3. They were in a great position in that game. Lost out to Manchester United. But then beating the likes of Spurs, Leeds, Sheffield United, getting those sort of wins. So they're picking up the right points in the right games, really, at the moment. But the predicted lineup for me, obviously with these injuries in mind, I would probably go Patricio, who I've not mentioned. Sounds like he's back and should be available, which is fantastic news, obviously, after his little scare against Liverpool in our most recent league game. So for me, Patricio in goal. Left wing back, I would go Johnny. Right wing back, I would go Semedo. Middle three in defence would be Cody, Saïss, and Bolly. Midfield two of Neves and Dendoncker, obviously depending on what Moutinho's fitness is like, and then a front three of me of Podence, Neto, and Willian José. Now, like I said, I'm not 100% sure who this player is regarding the COVID-19 thing that I mentioned earlier on. It could be any of those players that I've said there. It could be some of the players that travelled to go and visit their families during the international break. So again, we're not 100% sure who that may well be. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below ahead of this game. Who should Wolves be starting? Who are you hoping is going to be the key men for Wolves and hopefully fire us towards a huge 3 points? Be sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel. The final word should be returning. I may well do it on the evening after the game, so a late night stream on Talking Wolves. But until next time, guys, enjoy the rest of your evening and your day and your weekend, and I'll see you all very, very soon.